Okay, I just wanted to come on and give you a more in-depth um, video on the Sewing Essential Technique binder. So this is my binder. It is in a 3-inch heavy duty binder. And I put the I guess the sections and the main things that we want to cover in each section online already. I think I just put it in image format, and I said that if you guys wanted the actual Excel spreadsheet, so you can add to it if you want, take away if you want. Let me know. Let's see right here, I actually added some things and I'm gonna update mine so it'll be in the spreadsheet. And the way it works is each one of these things, everything except for the in general section, will have a sample or should have a sample. Some of the things in the general is just for knowledge, so it's just knowledge, yes, yes. And then some of them is also sample related. And then so it's sample, and then it's my name dirty. Sorry. And then it is, what's funny, and then it's project 1, 2, 3, oops, 4, I want to say 5, yeah, 5. And so you would go through, so as you can see here, this one is the 6544 new look, and that was for, let me look, y'all, I'm sorry, stay stitching. And let's see, I know I had some more new look, yeah, so that's another new look. And we covered straight tapered darts. So as you we go through the projects and we hit the certain things that's on there, you will mark what project that pertain to, and the goal is to cover each one of the topics. For instance, we'll just do stay stitching, to cover that topic in a project at least 5 times. So that way, so at least with the sample, and 5 times. So it's 6 times that you actually did that particular sewing technique. So you should be very familiar with it, comfortable with doing it. Most definitely after you hit the 6th time. So I'll just go over the dividers, which is each one of the sections. I'm not going to go over the contents of each one of the sections because that's already online. And again, if you want a hard copy or Excel copy of that, just let me know. So the first one is general. So that'd be your first divider. And within the general, so the way it works is you should have some instructions in the in the front, and then behind it you should have a sample. Okay, because just sometimes looking at the sample, you're like, well, how did I get there? So you need instructions. So sometimes you can write directly on the paper, sometimes you're going to have to type things out, and I'll show you that. So this one is just straight stitching, and I made note that back stitch at the beginning, back stitch at end, and it's 2.5 length per minute stitch, and it just goes straight down. So that's my notes on how to do that, and the actual sample is here. And so I just did 3 rows back stitching at the top and bottom, and 2.5 stitch. And so that's the way your technique binder should look. Instructions on the front, and the actual sample behind it. And I put each one of mine in these paper protectors. So it's on here, and then I tape the sample to the back of the paper, so it's actually taped so it doesn't move too easy. And that's how I'll secure that. And so, you know, that's a pivot. And then some of these things I don't have the actual sample, but I'm going to get there. That's the circle, because I threw a lot of my samples away. When I started the group, I said I was going to start all back over with the sample so I can do it along with you guys. And so this is a example of instructions, written instructions. So this is for the zigzag stitch. So this says this is machine stitch that can serve different purposes, and the regular zigzag you can use it as a seam allowance finish, and the length is 1.4, width 3.5. Another one is a smaller regular zigzag, also use a seam finish, and it gives you the length and width. And this one is a narrow zigzag you use with knit seams. Instead of doing a straight stitch like we do with the knit seams, you do this narrow zigzag, and that way your fabric would stretch with the knit. The length is 2.5, width is 0.5. Again, 2.5 is length, width is 0.5. Very important, because when we get to sewing knit fabrics, that is how we will stitch the seam, with a narrow zigzag. And so those three with instructions, and this is the actual sample. So that's the regular, that's the one, this is the one that you're doing this regular seam allowance, this is the little bit of a narrow seam allowance, and this is the zigzag. So again, that's in a sheet protector and taped to the back of the instructions. Okay, this is convex curve outer, and it just gives you little instructions. You notch the outer curve, which is making little V's, or you can use pinking shears. Use princess seams, and it just helps to lay the fabric flat. And that's an example of a convex. I pointed where you would notch it at the outer curve. Concave, sample, inner curve, and you just clip. And so that's an example of that. Trim corners, and the actual sample is on the back. That's how you trim the corners, cut it, and then you cut within the seam allowance up to the point. All right, so again, so that's the first tab, general. Next tab or section is stitches. And so I have understitch here, along with some instructions on how to do that, along with the sample on the back of it. And this is probably the last, you know, instruction with the sample that I'm going to show you. I'm just going to show you the topics from now on, but I just wanted to show you this. You know, I recommend you, when you do your samples, that you cut out 4 by 9 inch practice squares, rectangles, I should say. So 4 by 9 rectangles. And what you do is, so this was for understitching. So you remember what understitching was? If not, you know, go back and review. But we are on this side of the facing. And so what I did, so you can see the right side and the wrong side, just cut it basically in half. So that is the right side, and that is the wrong side. So again, so this is the right side, just cut it in half. That is the wrong side. Okay. All right. Okay, so we're just gonna go to the sections now. So just to recap, so the first section, general. Second section, stitches. Next, seams. Next section, seam finishes. Next section, darts. Next, pleats and tucks. Then bias and bias treatments. Zippers. Pockets. Sleeves and cuffs. Collars. Necklines. Facings and interfacings. Lining and interlining. Waistline. Hem. Closures. Miscellaneous. I'm gonna go over a little bit within my miscellaneous, but like I said, it's also on that topic, on that sheet that was already uploaded. So this is vent. Don't have instructions on that yet. Just a sample. Like I said, I threw some stuff away. This is the kick pleat. So these are the instructions, but I don't have the sample for it. And I think that's what we've done so far with, and tacky. So I have the sample, but not the instructions on that as of yet. And then this is assembly order. So for skirts, what's the order that you will assemble the skirt? For tops, for sleeves, the order of assembly for just your basic garments, pants, for example. This is blocks. So these are, so this is a pocket. So if you need a pocket, a side seam pocket, this is what you would use. This is a block of a hip pocket, and we'll go over that a little bit more. And this is what you can use to do your samples. So again, that was pockets, side seam pocket, hip pocket. This is skirt back, skirt front, pants front, pants back, and I need bodice front and bodice back. Just haven't printed those out. So this you can use for, like, here, pants, for example. Or we'll go to the skirt because we just did the skirt, right? The skirt, and this has the dart. So you can use this to do the dart. You can do the facing on here to practice your facing, practice your darts, practice the whole skirt itself before you do the bigger skirt, okay? And then you can put this sample, because as you see, it fits within the pocket sheet, so it will fit when you finish your sample. It will fit within the pocket sheet, and so you just have the instructions on the front, and then you have your sample on the back. And so that's what these are. These are just blocks, so you can use for making up your samples if you need to. And again, you know, these can be found online. You know, just do a Google search for them. But what I suggest you have is a side seam pocket, the hip pocket, which is a two-piecer. It's this piece, which is like the side, your side seam, plus the pocket bag. And this is this part from here, 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 makes up the other part of the pocket. But it's called the hip pocket because this part is along the hip. Your skirt, your pants, and your bodice. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what your technique binder should look like in all the sections that it should entail. So remember, your instructions should be on the front and the sample should be, you know, behind it. And so that way, if you ever forget how to do something, you can read the instructions. This is how you do it, and then you can refer to what the sample looks like in the back. And I find it very, 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 very helpful. You know, because, you know, you review the pattern instructions and, you know, say, oh, you need to do an invisible zipper. If you don't really remember how to do it offhand, or you didn't do it in a while, you go to your zipper section, wherever that zipper section was. Here it is. You go to your zipper section, and I have instructions for invisible zipper, right? I don't have the actual sample because, like I said, you know, I wanted to start afresh with you guys. But here are my instructions. So I will review how to do it, possibly look at the sample. And then I know how to do it when I actually get to the pattern itself. And then if you need to, you know, you have the blocks in the back to practice again if you need to. And this is just the fly front, my instructions for the fly front. And it just comes in handy. If you have any questions on that, let me know. And again, the actual topics of what's in each section. So that's the stitches, that's everything minimum that you should have for your stitches section. Seams, that's everything that you should have in your seam section. Seam finishes, everything you should have in your seam finishes section. Darts, pleats and tucks, bias, zippers, pockets, different type of pockets you should have in each section, and so forth and so on. So it goes on, and this is facings. So it just goes on and on. Waistlines, just so you can see. So, and then the last one is your miscellaneous, and you know, you have room to write things in. And like I said, image was uploaded of this, so you can most definitely get started just by printing out the image, or if you want, just send me you know, a message to let me know you would like the Excel version, so you can manipulate this yourself. So again, this was for the sewing sensor technique, and I would get a 3-inch binder, because as you see, I don't even have all the samples in there, but it's already just about getting full. Let's see what that looks. Okay, everybody, have a good night.